All right, in this lesson we're going to be learning one of my favorite tunes of all time, Ophelia by the band. I love this tune, this old ragtime chord change and feel that it's got. The recording is excellent. It's got the horns, Garth playing all his cool organ stuff, just a lot in there, and it's mixed really well. You can really hear all the parts. I would definitely suggest listening to it in headphones a couple times so you really hear what's going on. You'll hear some things in there maybe you don't normally hear when you're listening to it in the car or, you know, just in the room on a stereo or something. So we got a lot going on here, but it's not terribly complicated. We're going to do the rhythm stuff in this lesson. We'll do the lead in another. So right off the bat, we have an interesting augmented chord to play as the 5 chord. It's in the key of C, so G is our 5 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For those of you into the theory of this. So that to play the G augmented, we got to play 10th fret A, 9th fret D, and bar the 8th fret on the G and the B. And the horns are doing this. They come in on the downbeat. The horns make the augmented chord. Robbie Robertson, the guitar player, he comes in on the second beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to be exact. If you're playing it by yourself, then you want to hit it on the downbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we have that lick, okay? So the lick is it's like a little blues lick in C. So I'm down here in C, 8th fret. If we were playing a blues scale, we'd be right here. So we're going to bar the 8th fret of the B and high E strings, play a double stop there. I then do it again on the G and B, but there we're going to hammer on with our second finger on the 9th fret. So I'm picking the G and the B strings and hammering just on the 9th fret of the G string. And then we play the 10th fret of the D to get our root note in there. And then you're going to play it again, and then 8, 10, 8. So he does that 3 times. Think 3, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, the 4th time is a little bit different. But I'm going to go back and talk about that a little bit. He's not playing on the downbeat. He comes in on the and of 1 with the 1, 1. Now, if you're playing by yourself or you want to, especially on the first one after the augmented chord, 1, 2, 3, 4. I like to, when I played it in the band, I played the downbeat with a little power chord just to establish the downbeat. It depends on kind of what your ensemble is. If you got a lot of players, somebody else could do that. But if you don't, you might want to hit the downbeat. You know, something like that. Or at least on that first one. Up to you, depending on who you're playing with. Okay, the 4th one of the intro, so we got 1. That's the last one. So we don't do the little hammer on. And he goes to a C chord, here or here. It's just part of a C major bar chord. I'm just playing the higher strings, or Robbie was. And you'll notice that with him. Listen to how he stays out of the way of the other instruments. There's so much going on in this tune. You know, you don't want to take up too much space all the time. So you want to stay out of the bass player's way, staying out of the horns way, the keys. He's playing up high a lot, real sparse little parts. And we'll go over another way to play this, you know, if you're playing it by yourself, acoustic or something with full chords. But Just going over what he actually played on the record first. Okay, so we got the intro. Verse comes in. Again, he comes in on the and of one. One. And it's always this rhythm. One. Ba, 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 ba. So he's just holding that same C chord. And he's like kind of palm muting, and then the last one will give it a little accent. Okay, then he goes, the chord progression goes to E7. So it starts on C, C, 3, 4, E7. Okay, now E7, just for those of you into the theory, he's playing the minor third chord as a dominant 7 chord. That's part of that ragtime thing. Okay, normally in the key of C, E would be minor. It'd be a minor chord. Playing it as a dominant 7. So over that, he's going 1. So what he's doing, he's playing the higher notes of an E9 chord. Okay, that's like it's an E dominant 7 chord where you add the 9, the 9th interval. So you're just borrowing the 7th fret of the E, B, and G strings. Then you're playing 9 on the B, 9 on the G. And then hitting the 7s again. Then the chord goes to A7. Okay, on the A7, he's going to play this little fingering. It's part of an A dominant 7 bar chord, but he's just playing the higher strings. So you really just have to borrow the 5th fret D, G, B, and high E strings. 2nd finger on the 6th fret of the G. So he's picking the chord, then he's picking out the B, G strings, then the chord again. Then the chord progression goes to a D7. Okay, and there, he's again playing like a D9 chord. But he's just playing the higher strings. So it's 4, and then borrowing the 5th of the G, B, and E strings with our 2nd finger. Chord, then 7th fret A, 7th fret D, and then you're doing this little double stop on the 5th fret G and B, then back to the chord. Then the progression goes to F. He's just going to do a little F triad right here. 1 on the B, 2 on the G, 3 on the D. He's playing straight 8th notes, but he's playing them palm muted. Then move it up to G. Okay, so let's go back. Let's hear that all in context. So the let's come out of the intro. 1. Okay. After that, Robbie does a little lead thing. We're going to study that in another lesson, but I want to show you the chord progression underneath. If you're playing this by yourself, it's C to A7 to D7 to G7. Okay, so coming out of the verse, and you could play it here with bar chords. C, A7, D7, G7 here, or a G9, however you want to do it. So let's play it in context with the verse. 1. That's what I would do there if I was playing the chords. So I'm playing these dominant 7 chords. I'm kind of lower on the low strings, bump, bump, and then a little chank on the higher part. That's a G7. That's 10, 9, 10, 8. Or you could just do 10, 9, 10. Right there. Okay? If you're strumming it like acoustic, let's go back and say you were just playing acoustic on this tune. You still have to kind of pretty much do the intro the same. Once you get into the verse, you can just strum. So it would be C, E7, A7, D7, F, G, then our little C, A7, D7, G7. Okay, so, you know, and you can play around with the rhythm there if you're playing by yourself. So that covers our verse. And then it goes around again. Goes around the verse again. So the second time, instead of doing the little turnaround, the C to A7 to D to G, we go back to the riff from the intro. Okay, we do that once, same. Then the second time we do our without the hammer on. We're going to go to the C dominant 7 chord. So 5, 4, 5, 3. Then you're going to slide it up to D7 and then up to F. This is the kind of the walk up into the bridge. So I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry, it's C here, my bad. Then D, then E. Okay, so it goes like this. Like that. Now you could play that C here. You could go. In which case you'd start on the D. So you can play your C here as just a regular C triad, or you can play it down here as a C dominant 7 chord. Now, I'm going to play that all in context here. So this is the second time around the verse. Now we're into the bridge, okay? So once we get into the bridge, after you hit this F7, switch right away to 8th note muted, just a F power chord right here, 8, 10. Then we're going to go to C, a C major bar chord. We're going to do that rhythm. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we got some high, some chanks, and some palm muted low notes. Same thing then on G, going to a G major bar chord. Then we come back up and do the same little transition that we did to get into the bridge, okay? Then we do the same thing, C. Now instead of going to the second time, going to the low G bar chord, we're going to do this G. It comes from this shape, like if you played a C major shape for a G chord, right? The cage system thing. but we don't necessarily need the pinky. So I'm playing 9, 7, 8. And we're just going to do 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we slide up to that G augmented right on the last beat before we go back into the verse. Okay, so I covered that kind of quick. Let's go over the bridge. I'll play it in context, nice and slow, coming from the second time around the verse. 1, it's our verse. Now we're back into the verse, okay? So there's your bridge. Now, I think the transition into the bridge is easier when you just play the C there instead of trying to go all the way down here. Whatever sounds good to you. I think it sounds better here. I'm not sure exactly in the recording what Robbie's doing there. Okay, so then you do another verse, then we have the solo. The solo is over verse material, all material we've learned, and then we go back into a bridge, and let's see, just go back into a bridge, another verse, and then an outro, solo, also over verse material, and then the outro itself is just kind of like the intro. You just end it like that. Same way we did when we were going into the first verse, okay? So that's all the parts. So pause, get that all down, reference the tab if you need to, and then we come back. I'm going to play along with the original recording best I can. I'm not going to promise you that I'm not going to mess up here and there. I don't have it quite memorized, but it'll give you an idea of the parts and where we're at in the song and everything. So get those parts down and then come back and we'll take a listen to the tune. All right, so now I'm going to play along with the original recording so you get an idea of what's going on here. All right, so here we go. Okay, so there you have it. I think I got a little bit lost in the middle of the solo there, but I think you get the drift of being able to see what's going on at the same time as listening to the tune. So, great tune. Takes a little bit of study. A lot of different chord voicings in there that are great to, just add to your vocabulary of chord voicings. A different way to approach things, of that kind of playing a little bit more sparse, staying out of the way of other instruments. I think Robbie is great at that. It really sounds like it fits nicely. Real quick, going back, we didn't really ever cover, like if you were playing it by yourself, what you would play in the bridge. So the bridge, we go, you're on C, you do the climb up, D, E, 7 to F, G, F, C, G, C, F, C, G, 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 G. I don't know if you want to hit the augmented chord by yourself. That would be cool. And then so the bridge is pretty easy, just standard chords. If you're ever looking at the chart, but you're playing acoustic by yourself, you want to fill it out a little more, look at the chord names above the staff and just kind of got to play your own rhythm, which you'd have to anyway. If I was playing this by myself, I believe I did play it acoustic with just a singer. I did not play Robbie's part. I did it at the beginning. Probably played something more along that lines to fill it out. Because it'd be pretty empty if you were just playing acoustic guitar and singing to do the... that kind of thing. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. One of my favorite tunes. That's Ophelia by the band.